The Wizard of Oz is about a young girl named Dorothy. Dorothy is, well, very, very strange. And I, for one, like her. But the Wizard of Oz is about a Hey guys, it's Sarah from Sarah's Theories, and today I'm going to talk about the Hunger Games. If you all don't know what the Hunger Games is basically, well, about Katniss Everdeen. And Katniss Everdeen is a really good case. And I want to let you all know down in the comment section below, are you Team Gale or are you Team Peeta? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But also, what do you think about Katniss Everdeen? Let's start with the first Hunger Games. The first Hunger Games is basically about how Katniss takes her sister's place. But there's one thing I have always wanted to know. Why was there a Hunger Games in the first place? If anything, if you all don't know, the Hunger Games takes place in Panem, aka the old United States of America. And hey guys, it's Sarah from Sarah. Sarah's Theories, and today I'm going to talk about the Hunger Games. If you all don't know what it is, the Hunger Games is basically, well, about Katniss Everdeen. And Katniss Everdeen is
टेक इन्फो का तो ये चेंज थंबनेल पे क्लिक करके आप अपना थंबनेल चेंज कर सकते हो। यहाँ पे भी सेम वही है, बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन। यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने डाला था टेक इन्फो लाइव स्ट्रीम, यहाँ पे स्ट्रीम ऑप्शंस है। टेक इन्फो का तो ये चेंज थंबनेल पे क्लिक करके आप अपना
anyway, guys. I'm just going to tell you about some things that I learned. The Hunger Games is basically very, very amazing. And I just wanted to say that I love everything about the Hunger Games. It just is so amazing. Anyway, guys, but most of all, I think that I'm just gonna tell you about some things that I learned. Hunger Games is basically very, very amazing. And I just wanted to say that I love everything about the Hunger Games. It just is so amazing. And also, you guys, I was thinking that maybe Katniss Everdeen is one of the most iconic people. She's one of the most iconic people I've ever met. And wonderfully, I love Hunger Games. It basically, in Catching Fire, if you ever watched the movies or read the books are good, but the movies are better. It basically is telling that you're willing to sacrifice the people you care about the most. And I think that Katniss Everdeen would sacrifice anything to be with her people. But most of all, the most important thing I love about Katniss Everdeen is that she has immense courage. And you're probably wondering, we're going to get to the relationship part later. First, we're going to talk about Katniss's story. She basically volunteered for her sister. She did a lot of things for everyone else. And she also would do anything for the people she cared about. Her sister Prim, her mom. And she'd do anything for her best friends in the whole wide world. Now, let's talk about Peeta and Gale. Just like the Twilight love affair story, Peeta and Gale were basically at each other's throats. And they didn't know each other at the time, but they liked having a little bit of fun, just getting to know Katniss. Well, let's go with Gale. The difference between Peeta and Gale is so much better. Peeta, for one thing, likes Katniss. He doesn't know her. He gave her, like, a loaf of bread and, well, threw it out to her and gave her something to eat because she was starving, even though he was supposed to give it to the pigs. And as for Gale, I'd say they were best friends since they were kids. But they also grew up together as friends. And that's something that you have to figure out, is that they all grew up together. But most of all, I'd say that Peeta had more of an effect on Katniss. Because the beginning of the films, Gale and Katniss get along within that throughout the entirety of the three, well, if you count parts, all three books. Gale turns into this kind of like jerk somewhat. And as for, well, Peeta, yeah, Katniss doesn't know him at first, but then she gets to know him better and they start falling in love more than ever. And yes, I know Katniss can't go between two boys, whether it's Gale or Peeta, but that's just the funny part about it, that she started loving Peeta more than Gale. As we can see at the end of the film, of the Mockingjay films, in part 2, she tells Gale she doesn't want to see him anymore, or from what I've been told. And as for Peeta, she ends up falling in love with him, even though he somewhat goes crazy. Like, did you see what he did to her in the entire of Catching Fire? No, it was Mockingjay, guys. In Mockingjay, even though the only thing she was focused on was Peeta, even in Catching Fire, she was willing to like save Peeta more than herself, and that's something that you don't find every single day. And as for rescuing Peeta from the Capitol after President Snow Lily takes him away from Katniss, well, you could say that he literally, after she's rescued, he probably doesn't even recognize her. He literally looks at her like she's nothing. And then he basically attacks her. And that's something that I don't think I would ever find in a man. But if anything, I gotta say that I really do like Katniss Everdeen. Peeta, on the other hand, yes, true, he did attack her, but then he also learned to cope with his relationship with Katniss, even though he attacked her twice and Lily killed a member of their team. But that's just part of growing up. Eventually, Peeta did go back to his home to stay with Katniss, probably because he knew she'd get lonely. And I know she was probably upset with losing her sister Prim, and Gale, and all the others. Like what she said in Mockingjay Part 1, when Gale and the team were nearly captured, well, she was really upset. She was like, I'm going to lose them both now. Probably because she was afraid to lose both Gale and Peeta. But thankfully, Peeta, well, Katniss helped to find the real him again. And that led to a new romance. Even though you had to start all over with the man you finally fell in love with. And the one thing I loved about it is that he asked her if she loved him, and she said yes, of course she did. And that leads to a family. But you know, guys, that's just a part of living. And I think that Katniss Everdeen was an amazing person. But her story is inspiring, gives us a chance to live again, and I think that's something that we all should learn to live with. But anyway, guys, that's all for today for today's theory. In a few days, I'll be talking about Twilight Affair, Bella's story, and her love affair between Jacob and Edward. And if you guys want to see more of my videos, like I'm new to this YouTube stuff, so don't expect me to get this right on the first try. So I'm going to be making these videos more frequently. And since I'm in college now, guys, I will have more time to myself.
You talking to yourself?
Yes, Mom, I am.
Or you face chat?
No.
Girl, you need to open this.
Sorry about that, guys. But I'll upload some new videos later in the afternoon, tomorrow maybe, after I finish school. And I will see you all in the next video. This has been Sarah from Sarah's Theories, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!